call the meeting to order. It's 5:32. At this time, I will read our ethics statement for North Carolina. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the board. Does any member present of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring this matter to the attention of the chair, and it will then be our duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. Thank you. We will now have our celebrations and recognitions.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dixon. Today, we would like to start our first monthly honoring of our student showcase for our core values here at East Charter School. For the month of September, communication is the core value that we are focusing on. Communication is about connecting people and things, as well as exchanging information effectively to others. Teachers were asked to nominate students who demonstrated good communication skills. One student from each grade level was recognized as being the grade level honoree, and from those nominated, one student from each grouping level, K2, 3, 5, middle, and high school, were chosen to represent each group. Our first recognition goes to our kindergarten through second grade recipient, Elizabeth Lola Ortiz. Lola is a second grader and was nominated by Miss Newhart. Lola was selected for this month's Communication Award because she makes connections with all classmates in a respectful manner. Lola has the ability to communicate effectively with her teachers and her fellow classmates in a respectful way. She expresses her ideas and views clearly and with confidence. More importantly, she has the skill of being an active listener and showing others she cares about what they are saying and expresses interest, concern, or empathy at appropriate times. Please join me in recognizing. Our next honoree is our 3rd through 5th grade recipient, Addison Taylor. Addison Taylor is a 3rd grader and was nominated by Miss Ansley. Addison was selected as the recipient of the Communications Award because she is helpful and always explains directions to others well. The selection committee had this to say about Addison. We wanted her to receive the Communication Award because Addison is such a great peer buddy for her classmates. She is always willing to talk them through various concepts we are learning when they are having difficulty. She does a really great job explaining how to do something in a way that makes sense for their age group. She also always has something nice to say to others and is always positive in her conversation with peers. Please again help me recognize Addison. Our middle school recipient is Madeline Clark. Madison Clark is in the 8th grade and was nominated by Ms. Cochran. Madeline was selected to receive the Communications Award because she has demonstrated her communication skills in mathematics by questioning anything she is unsure of. She has the ability and confidence to probe into a problem, extract information, and question whether it is accurate or not. And she has used her skills effectively this year to improve on her own achievements and to assist her peers in gaining further knowledge and understanding of problem solving within math. Again, congratulations to Madeline. Our final recipient this month is our high school recipient, Alexis Black. Alexis is in the 10th grade and was nominated by Ms. Westergaard. Alexis is well-spoken and very outgoing, which makes her an excellent communicator. She asks questions in class when she needs help, and she helps others when they are too shy to speak up in front of the entire class. Congratulations. We'll pause for a moment to get a group photo.
Wait, can we get it on screen? Yes. That's good. 3, 2. We should do it that way too. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm good.
As we move into the next portion of my celebrations, I'd like to do a faculty showcase. Gail Browning. On September 1st, 2016, the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association announced that Gail Browning, athletic director here at Neuse Charter School, had been recognized by the association as a certified athletic administrator. To earn this distinction, Coach Browning demonstrated the highest level of knowledge and expertise in the field of interscholastic athletic administration. The voluntary certification process included a thorough evaluation of the candidate's educational background, experience, and professional contributions, as well as a rigorous, comprehensive written examination. The announcement went on to state that Coach Browning is one of an elite group of interscholastic athletic administrators nationwide, and we're all proud of her attaining this level of professionalism. She's somewhere on the court coaching, which is why she can't be here with us tonight. Another staff member, I'd like to move into my staff showcase. For our staff, I'd like to recognize this month Amy Turnbock. Again, she's not with us because she's administrating a game for us. But in support of meeting one of our school improvement plan goals, she's been collaborating with faculty across all grades to develop department-specific professional development plans for the school year. Her efforts have guided our teachers in assessing needs specific to positively impacting student learning. As faculty teams prepare their plans, Ms. Turnbock continues to recommend strategies and provide resources to achieve their academic learning goals. And my last staff recognition is for Mr. William Dixon. He's not here tonight because he attended a 2-day workshop on asbestos safety training for the school. While at the conference, he learned valuable information that will assist us in updating our facilities management plan. A few final notable recognitions for this month. Our shipment of staff MacBooks arrived. All teachers are now transitioning to the new platform. For some, it's easier than others. We are working diligently also to exceed our school improvement plan goal by having 100% of teachers using Canvas. As a point of reference, only 14 teachers piloted the program for us last year, and due to its popularity and effectiveness, we're committed to supporting all teachers in their endeavor to be 100% on Canvas by soon. In addition, we're pleased to announce that the senior class members Jeffrey Wilkins and Brianna Neal have been selected by the school to apply for the Park Scholarship at NC State University. At every stage of the selection process, the Park Scholarship Selection Committees evaluate candidates on 4 criteria: scholarship, leadership, service, and character. The selection committees at the university will consider demonstrated achievement as well as evidence of future potential. We wish these 2 candidates the best as they work to submit their applications. In addition, senior class member Isaac House has been selected to apply for the Moorhead Kane Scholarship at UNC Chapel Hill. It isn't the high-achieving student we seek so much as the scholar, the one for whom knowledge is about more than grades and test scores and for whom learning is an appetite rather than a means to an end, a quote on their application package. We do wish Isaac the best as he prepares to submit his application. And just a final recognition that's more on the logistical front, Carpool is going awesome. We have evolved over the last several weeks the impact of the opening of Triple S and that traffic flow and the buses that come out of those parking lots. And we did make some final adjustments recently to the afternoon pickup pattern to ease the burden of what we call stacking on Booker Dairy Road. And that added benefit has been that we've been able to complete middle and high school pickup in as little as 8 minutes, and we're averaging about 10 minutes for that pickup time. So, but most importantly, we are so thankful for all of our teachers and staff that maintain their duty stations each and every day. Today, right at 2:30, when all of our cars started lining up, is when the downpour came, and we were getting ready to do our pickup, and all of our teachers and staff reported to post to make sure that all of our students and our parents and drivers were all safely able to manage carpool this afternoon. And we cannot say thank you enough to what I call our tri-reading population. That can be parents, that can be grandparents, aunts, family, friends, neighborhood colleagues and cohorts, but everyone has been so patient and so kind and so supportive as we've been trying to make sure that carpool is safe and effective and efficient as possible this year. So thank you. And that concludes my remarks for celebrations and recognitions.
Thanks. We already put carpool in case it rains like this. All the teachers have umbrellas.
Umbrellas, rain boots, we
Point
have
of-
rain boots on.
Okay.
To help us out, because we're recording, if you can make sure you press your mic when you ask a question or speak so we can make sure we hear it.
Question is the staff adequate?
Is the staff adequately prepared
for when it does rain by having umbrellas, or do we need donations for that or anything?
We can always use a few more umbrellas. We can always use a few more umbrellas, but we have quite a few. We will not turn down any, and I think we have the best dressed rain boot wearing staff around.
Thank you.
Thank you for excusing my tardiness this evening. I see we've gotten started as scheduled. If I can ask for that public comment. We have, and I see we got a new member. Caitlin, have you been officially welcomed yet? Well, this is it. Sorry, this is as good as it gets. But congratulations on your recent election as student government president. As was started last year, the board of directors would like to recognize as an ex-officio member of our board as a student representative from student government. So you're welcome to chime in. Don't let these microphones scare you. But we welcome your input that you've provided anytime. And again, congratulations, and we look forward to you joining us and helping us make decisions as well.
Check. Well, thank you for the welcome. At this point, we don't really have anything to bring to the table. We've only had one meeting, so there's not much to talk about from the student standpoint. So thank you.
Well, we look forward to everything else. Thank you as well. Have we read our ethics statement before? We have? Okay. And I will just, for the record, for mine, based on the agenda, I have no conflicts as well. Do we have sign up for public comment? I see we have none. Haven't seen none. We'll move forward. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the August meeting, Board of Directors meeting.
Caitlin and I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And the minutes are approved unanimous. Next we have Margaret Morgan Lee, PTO report. I didn't see. Okay. No, I'm seeing a no report. So no report. Booster Club. I'm seeing no report at this time. Director's report. I don't expect to hear no report.
Fair enough. Before I go into my prepared remarks, I direct your attention to some additional handouts that were placed for you at your table. Unfortunately, due to getting the final financing figured out late Friday, we were not able to include them in the packet. But you have a field trip request form before you to review with the attached itinerary. This request is for an overnight trip, the dates of November 14th and 15th for our 8th grade students, to a wonderful action-packed trip in the western part of our state. They'll be visiting the Biltmore House, the Western North Carolina Nature Center, Linville Caverns, and Grandfather Mountain. Each of these areas and their historical elements are components of the standard curriculum for 8th grade across the science and social studies areas. And so we are asking approval for this field trip at this time.
I'll ask at this time, based on our field trip policy, who is to transportate? Academy Charter? Have they been vetted? How do we?
Yes, sir. We have used them.
We have used them.
Yes.
Any incidents? And we have certificates of insurance and so forth received from them. Is there an overnight stay?
Yes, sir. Due to the nature of being able to attend all 4 of those locations, there is overnight listing attached itinerary, though it doesn't leave much time for it.
And where will they be staying? I don't see that on here, but missing it.
Craigmont.
At the Craigmont,
Craigmont is number.
or Craigmont. Mr. Britton, I know that the full packet of all of those details,
Yes, please.
and that's the original list. We have in our presence Ms. Cole
And Mr. Ward.
and Mr. Ward. for preparing the 8th grade classes and specific questions regarding curriculum content and other details.
I think I like the fillable form. Certainly makes things easier to read, but one of the items that we may want to consider is actually written student learning outcomes. I think as we move towards our advanced ed, being able to compile the student learning outcomes and activities from field trips could be, a very compelling data point as you write some of your narratives. So not just what you're doing, but what exactly the students, why the trip is designed and what they should be learning at the completion of the trip.
Duly noted will be included in all future requests.
Is there a possibility the student or students may not be able to make the trip because of the funds required?
Y'all want to answer?
We've
If
talked
you
about
could come to
putting-
the mic,
Sure.
please, thank you. And state your name for the record.
My name's Brad. Brad English. Brad English.
We talked about padding the price to $175. We managed to keep the lodging down to $10 a student because of choosing Crayon. And by doing that, we would have a little bit of extra bit of money for those students that may need a little extra help. I think Mrs. Cole and I decided that if there's a student or two that can't afford it, we personally will help sponsor a student, anyone else if any staff.
And that's my concern, just knowing in the past, at each grade level, it tends to be, it's more so in the spring from my recollection, there could be 1 to 4 or 5 that they may say there are other reasons, but we know that the cost may be prohibitive for them to attend. I didn't know, I may take that offline, but I was just curious if there was any arrangements considered for that.
Silent Partners is always there also when we use
Okay.
that for those type of incidents.
This is Lillian Cole, I'm sorry, I'm short-handed. But yeah, we're also, actually, I was just talking with him about some possible fundraisers, but have to figure out, I don't want to step on anybody's toes as far as like taking dollars from another program to do something. So unfortunately, this is, we're coming in as new teachers and trying to get this done as soon as possible. The trips that are done in the spring, the buses are already booked. And so we're looking at, and also the cost for buses is much higher. So by doing it in the fall, after the peak is October, so after October, it's cheaper. But we can't push it further because then you run
Yeah,
into
Christmas.
possible weather issues. Rain down here in the Piedmont is snow in the mountains. So that's,
To follow up with the chairman's comments, I appreciate the staff considering paying it on their own, but I would like for us internally to discuss how we can.
and there's,
Do
someone
that,
had mentioned
without-
somebody, a PTO possibly. If there's, there's avenues, we've discussed it, we just haven't solidified it because we weren't even sure that it was going to get approved.
Simply, the first step was keeping the price down as low as possible. Good. That includes every single meal.
The price is very,
Yeah.
very attractive.
And this is all.
To be honest, I'd like to go.
You're welcome. Yeah, but this includes all of their meals. This cost is not, they're not going to have to bring money for food. If they have money for whatever they want to spend on, they can, but by having the price of the food included, they can just come and enjoy the trip and go to the classes, because we have classes planned, go to everything and just experience it, not have to worry about, if I spend this money, am I going to have to go hungry before I go home?
I make a motion that we accept and approve the field request, with the caveat that maybe 1 or 2 students come back at the following board meeting after the trip and just kind of explain what they learned, and we'd like to hear that.
It's a very attractive field trip.
I know the Biltmore is probably the cost of what typically is.
And they're including the whole tour of the working farm, everything. So they're
The house and the working farm.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of things.
Well, the timing might help because you're between their two peak seasons, between the
Right, and then
foliage
we're
and
just
and the
finished
holidays.
decorating for the holidays, so we'll get to see Biltmore in time that most people don't, because they usually get there
Yes,
during the summer.
field trips have changed. I've got a motion, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it know, be known by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign? Having heard none, motion passes unanimous, so we'll get that signed. Thank you.
Thank you for that bit of business in the middle of my report. Now to my prepared remarks. Our enrollment at this time is 920 students. Our ADM calculated at 917 for the first 10 days of school and 919 for the second 10 days of school. So at this point, we are conservatively getting ready to realign our budget to the 917 number just to be prepared for that being the eventual allotted number, but we are hopeful that 919 will be the final number. As far as the staff update, we do currently still have 3 vacancies, a media center teacher, an office manager, and bookkeeper, but we are in the final stages of contract discussions for all 3 of these positions, and we'll bring this to you in session tonight. For our assessment and performance updates, our final results for the 2015-16 school year are in and were confirmed by State Board of Education. Our growth status is met, and that is compared to exceeded in 2014-15, so we do have some improvement areas in that overall met versus exceeded category. Our achievement, which is also our amount proficient, that means the number of students that earned a 3, 4, or 5 on their standardized test or their required tests, was relatively flat at 73. We had 74 in the year previous. Our growth did drop a little overall from 84.6 to 87 point, from 87.1 to 84.6. However, our school performance, which is the combined formula of achievement and growth, maintained a B status. We know there have been some erroneous reports. We were a B last year and a B this year. In reading, we also maintained that B status from last year to this year. The reminder, again, that we mentioned about math last month is that it improved from a C rating to a B rating. So we did score a 72, previously it was a 68. So we do expect that state report cards will be available in the next month or so. We'll be sending those home to parents as required. The school improvement team and our professional learning communities are actively reviewing these data elements as they work to align their action plans with our school improvement goals to help them make even more refined decisions about best places for additional resources and supports. Upcoming events. In September, although we're towards the end, we do have a few things still happening this month. Tomorrow will be senior portraits here on campus. And Thursday evening, we'll be hosting a senior parent information meeting to discuss all the things related to the field trip and other senior events, graduation elements, those sorts of things. Get that conversation started early with our parents and students.
What time is that?
I believe it starts at 6 o'clock. And there should have been notices. I did see the notices that went on our social media sites, and I believe it's been added to the calendar as well. And I believe emails were sent to the parent email group, and they were discussed in all the homeroom classes with the students. So hopefully we tried every communication avenue we've got to make sure parents know. Our field trip season is going to kick off this Friday with our first graders having a Camp Agape experience and our 5th graders going to the Bentonville Battleground, and also additional sites for their sort of Smithfield exploration elements. Get to know your town type field trip. October, we'll have us hosting our Full Spirit Week for the year. That'll be the week of October 3rd through October 7th. The theme this year is Stomp Out Bullying, and you'll see there's signs for each day to sort of address those issues. We'll have crazy socks and things like that to help us remember to stomp out bullying. We'll cap that week off with some assemblies on Friday that'll be hosted by staff, and apparently there'll be some surprise performances. Anyone can make themselves available. Our junior class will be having sort of a series of field trips the week of October 10th as they start to visit various North Carolina colleges and universities. And the end of the first quarter is quickly approaching. That will be on October 14th. That is an early release day, which is followed by 2 teacher work days on Monday and Tuesday. It's just a friendly PR plug for reminding families that there'll be early pickup that day as well as no school on that Monday and Tuesday following. We will be hosting the PSAT here on campus on October 19th. I believe it's not too late to sign up. It is. It is, okay. It's too late to sign up at this point if students haven't, but I know we've had a number of students sign up to take that assessment or that test. Our kindergarten class will take their first field trip to the Pumpkin Farm on October 21st. And then our school will be hosting the pre-SAT for all 10th graders on October 25th here on campus. I'll give you a little heads up, just after our next board meeting, the Artists in the Schools program will kick off for us this school year with our first event on October 27th, and that event will actually be available to all grades. We'll break it up into 4 separate assemblies so all grades can participate in that very first event. With that concludes my report for now.
Just like to make a note that on the academic performance numbers that you gave, given a lot of the stuff that was going on last year, the Charter School Advisory Board did make a note when we presented that kudos to the staff that stayed committed through some turbulent times to stay focused on the academics. And then there was a report in the newspaper that showed we were a C-rated school. I did send them a note to please correct that, so that we've been a B-rated school for 2 years. So good to stay there and look forward to moving forward.
Has that been updated yet, or
It was just
One final remark, because PTO is not here to advertise it. We will have our first Unplugged event on October 11th. That information is available on our website and should be getting more information through our various social media channels to let you know about that, and that will be partnered with the next PTO meeting as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So I had a call from PTA just asking if I would give a plug on Unplugged. How about that? Tuesday, October 11th, 5:30 p.m. here at the school. And the description is called Getting Over Your Fear and Anxiety of Mathematics. And I think I'll go. It's really this Dr. Maria Grukova of naturalmath.com will be joining the group for an interactive and engaging session on how parents can make mathematics more joyful for both themselves and children. That's all I need to say on that, but I promise you I'll give a plug.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to remind everyone that See at the Poll is tomorrow morning for high school and middle school at 7:10, and then at 7:50 for elementary. So I just want to prepare staff for drop off. I don't know how they use the circle, but anyway, for both, just make arrangements however that needs to be done. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Barry. We have any consent agenda? We have consent agenda. Nothing. Okay. Everything has been added. We'll move to our committee reports. If you will, next we'll begin our committee reports. The executive committee regarding employment contracts. Do we have any presented?
There were 2 to discuss with the executive committee, then there'll be additional remarks.
I would like to postpone any approval pending closed session. I think you alluded to those earlier. But just for the record, per statute, we do have to approve all employment actions, hires or terms. So we need to make a decision on that tonight. Finance committee.
So a couple of things is the Finance Committee to meet. The budget you have before you is an actual as of August 31st. We'll make note that we're still currently tracking at $50,012 as a surplus. So based on the updated ADM numbers that we've gotten, as well as our new salary and compensation plan, we actually will be reforecasting the budget, and we will present that next month at the board meeting. I think what we're deciding, we'll probably give a quarterly full holistic update with trend graphs and pie graphs and all that stuff moving forward. But we'll continue doing a monthly update against our projected budget and actuals. What I'll tell you is all the hard work that everybody put into place has actually showed its dividends, because we submitted the final audit to the auditors for last year's budget. If you remember, we were projecting about fundraising, refocusing on really making sure all the revenues we were supposed to get, as well as some, quite frankly, some tightening of expense control there at the end of the year. We actually ended the year and we only missed by a little over $13,000.
As opposed to what all the media was reporting.
And so,
Say that again, please.
we ended the year missing by 13,000, not over 100,000. So that's what got submitted to the auditors. Like I said, I think that was just a lot of hard work by a lot of people focused on the right things. So good collaboration. What I will say is that we learned a good bit about how the funds are made available to the charter school, both from local dollars as well as state dollars. And one of the things that we've got to do is at the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th, we don't get any local dollars. Like we just got the local dollars just now for July and August. So basically, we've run the school on 2 months with no local dollars. And then the state drawdown is not available to the end of July. So just from a fiscal planning perspective, as we look at next year, we've got to take that into consideration. Basically what you've got to do, you've got to have enough cash reserves to run you through the month of August and July and August for any expenses that are not state approved for allocation. So we've got a clear beat on that. I feel very optimistic that we'll be in a great shape coming into the year. I will tell you, I'm not going to give actual numbers here because for those that work with me on finance, I want the numbers on pen and paper before I claim it. But I'll tell you, when we reforecast our revenues based on this new ADM, we should be in a very, very strong financial position to get us off academic probation ASAP. One motion that did come out of the finance committee was there are some immediate facilities needs that came to light as Ms. Pulliam did a needs assessment of the campus. And what we come out of finance committee we would like to make a motion to allocate an extra $20,000 out of this budget to the facilities line item to give her some freedom to do some of the things like fence repair, etc. It's fully within the affordability limits of the budget, and the finance committee had approved that. So I make a motion that we move $20,000 out of this budget to the facilities. I'll second. I'm sorry. I'll second that, but I'll third it. But I'd like to make sure that everybody understands it for the record. We're talking about out of a $6.8 million budget being off by 0.2%. 0.2%.
It's camera on, Brad.
0.2%. I'd like to find out anybody here. I mean, that is could be a mathematical error
Or rounding.
or rounding. Well, I mean, one of the things is that what we found was at the end of the year, our revenues came in about $40,000 higher than we were projected. But people are like, well, you don't know where the money's coming from. Well, people need to understand it's things like we get money for sales tax refunds and forfeitures and these things that you can't forecast those because you don't know what they're going to come in as. And then on the expense side, frankly, some of the savings and expenses were cost control measures we took there in the last 2 to 3 months. Get it. Now, look, if we look back, what we learned is we had a huge surplus of cash when we built this building. And when we depleted that, these carryover cash flow scenarios at the fiscal boundaries is something we didn't anticipate. So we've got that under control. It won't happen. So all in all, I'm super happy where we're at and look forward to continuing the resources for the school to continue to have more services.
Well, unfortunately, DPI or some of the media that had been portrayed about us being able to pay our bills and all this other nonsense that was going around will not be heard. I mean, when you sit there and think about what we went through as a school and the damaged reputation, as I spoke with several people about this after Rodney shared with me, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's being labeled and our reputation has been tarnished, unfortunately, internally by people. When we're talking about 0.2% discrepancy. I would have written it, well, anyway.
It is very good news, but to the business at hand, there was a recommendation by the Finance Committee, motion and a second, to move $20,000 from where?
It's just to allocate it to facilities.
Just to allocate the allocation of $20,000 for facilities needs or upgrades. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Having heard none, the motion carries unanimous. Good report. I think, Rodney, I'll say it again, for you, Paul, Dave, and forgive me for who I'm leaving out, but the work of Finance Committee back in the late winter, early spring, throughout the summer months, certainly has shown it's paid off. So on behalf of the board, thank you to the Finance Committee for the extra hours you all have put into this. It's paying off, and we're going to certainly ensure that this message gets out. So thank you. Personnel has no report. We've alluded to, we will discuss personnel actions in closed session. Audit.
The audit committee, the academic subcommittee had a committee meeting last week, and we have a proposal, is it draft or final? Draft proposal for a new policy titled the College Curriculum Resource Reimbursement Policy, which is the new name for the old college credit textbook reimbursement policy that we have discussed. If you want to review the attached proposal, which outlines the policy and procedures for students receiving reimbursement for any higher ed opportunity, or really any opportunity that requires some kind of course materials. We've had many discussions. The policy as presented is very broad and vague and does not give specific numbers, but rather a value will be set at, during every budget year for the amount that we are able to reimburse up to, and then the procedure outlines how a student may be eligible, which requires pre-approval, a reimbursement form, or a pre-approval form, and then the request for reimbursement form.
And I saw there is a hardship waiver as well.
There is a hardship waiver as well. One of the things that I would just ask, you do request an official copy of final grades, which means an official transcript, which in most higher ed would require the person to pay. Would an unofficial transcript be acceptable from the student, or?
Certainly, I think the intent was to make sure that it was something from the school versus a handwritten note or a interim grade. We wanted to make sure that it was recorded as such that it was a final grade, so we can certainly use that language just to indicate that, as long as it indicates the final grade.
And then just a little bit on the narrative for the number 6 and 7, that may not be necessary to say the executive director may approve such appeals, but rather it can request an appeal, and depending on funding availability, these requests may be considered.
Do you need a motion?
I do need a motion and please make it to accept with the changes just noted.
Further presentation of the audit committee related to the News Charter School College Curriculum Resource Reimbursement Policy. Any other discussion?
And just a note of clarification that this would be a board policy, so any changes would require approval of the board.
I'll entertain discussion or motion. motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. Any further discussion?
Just a question whether these forms can be electronic.
Yes. I'll answer.
Well, not just completed electronically, this may be, moving into our technology, but can they be submitted in-house electronically?
Over time, certainly, that is a capability that can be built. It's just a matter of figuring out what platform we'd like to use for all of our forms.
SharePoint.
Well, I mean, you can do a fillable PDF to send it to an email, just so I think,
Certainly, we can start with the low-tech version of a fillable email attachment and then migrate toward a system-wide.
yeah, not attachment where you
Right.
click submit and it goes to, so they don't have to.
I think we have the capability of doing that. I'm looking to Brad for advice on that. The ability to be able to electronically submit forms without having to print and attach as an email or something.
Any other discussion?
I mean, I think one thing we did talk about, which we can follow up with a subsequent policy, is talk about the naming to give some leeway to administration around extracurricular academic related stuff. Could be in excess of just college related classes or facilities. I do think at some point we kind of need to take a position on that. I know there's a number of things that are going on already that parents are directly funding, which is good, and we should encourage that, but I think we should at some point expand it. But as is for now for this particular section.
To expand the reimbursement.
We need to take a position on it, if we are or are not going to reimburse parents for something where that meets a student need academically. That may not be related to a college course. It could be a service for a student that we just don't provide on campus for the student needs.
Any other discussion? It's good work. I know there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion regarding this. At this point, without any further discussion, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And the motion, and thus the board policy carries unanimous.
The second agenda item we had at the academic subcommittee meeting was the mid-cycle update on the 2015-2017 school improvement plan. I'm going to ask if Ms. Pulliam would review the attachment.
Brad, is this something we can put up there? I believe there's a copy in everyone's packet, so feel free to flip along, but sometimes it's easier to look at it in its designed and intended format. Board members, we did make sure you had copies so that you can have that more significantly monitored. I'd like to recognize that Chris Kaiser is with us today. He is our current chair of the school improvement team, and his team has been meeting regularly to review the mid-cycle update of our 2015-17 school improvement plan. It previously has been adopted, and at this point, we're not bringing it to you for approval, but we wanted to let you know where we were in the mid-cycle review stage and garner any feedback that you may have so that they can take that back to the school improvement team and make any final edits to the update between the 15-16 school year and the 16-17 school year. So what you'll see on the first slide is just a quick overview that the overall goal for News Charter is to be an A-rated school. We previously discussed our B-rated status, and the overall goal is to get to that A rating and to raise our composite number to 90% or higher. In order to do that, the school improvement team over a year ago developed 7 specific goal areas based on an assessment of needs across the campus, and that came from teacher feedback, administrator feedback, and board feedback, as well as community feedback as to what were the areas of the school that needed to have focus. So for this particular school improvement plan, the first goal is that we would increase our composite score from 72.4% to 90% at the conclusion of the 16-17 school year. That is an aspirational goal, but we are fully committed to doing everything we can to achieve that goal. At this mid-cycle portion, the reflection that we have is to continue and expand our use of GoMath and MobyMax. We saw great success with that last year. Those are tools that we used that we feel are correlated to the success we saw in that particular area of growth. In addition, we want to expand our use of the student assistance tool. And so that's where teachers get together and review individual data points about students and make determinations about specific individualized learning plans that might help those students achieve content mastery and grow. In addition, we want to expand our technology resources for our upper level coursework. So we're looking at expanding our offerings for AP courses. Currently, our Johnson Community is a great partner for us to expand access to those and look for other extra and co-curricular activities that might provide those needs for provide for those students to be able to reach their full academic potential.
If we could, just on the reflection, change that to CCP, since that's a statewide program, and, I mean,
Absolutely.
you don't have to go to JCC, you can get it anywhere.
I'd just like to make a note that the focus on math is where the parent club events and stuff from last year. I mean, clearly this is an obvious where you focus and apply resources towards a goal, moves the needle. So kudos to all of the staff.
Absolutely. For the second goal, you'll see that the goal states that we would increase our use of communication tools. Clearly, transparency, communication is extremely important on a campus like ours where we're serving kindergarten through 12th grade, where all of our students are using a carpool, where every facility is used for about 4 or 5 different things throughout the day. It's critical that we make sure that all of our families, parents, and community stakeholders are informed about the events happening on campus. One way that we want to do that from an academic standpoint is to use the Canvas tool that we mentioned earlier in my opening remarks. We had 14 teachers, as I said earlier, pilot this tool for us last year. It was very successful. We're encouraged by it. We even saw some Facebook posts this weekend about how they love it and want more teachers to use it. So we're doing everything we can to get training in place so that all teachers will be able to use that tool to communicate with parents and students. In addition, we want to offer parent and student teacher training programs to make sure that not only is it used, but it's understood and used to its fullest potential. It has a tremendous amount of capacity, and if you're just checking grades on it, you're not unleashing power on that.
So Susan, if we could, the reflections are excellent, would it be possible to put some data? So when you say expand use, so when you're doing a reflection on what happened last year, and maybe you only had 12 teachers use it, and at the beginning, but at the end, starting this year, you now have 19 instructors using it. Just to quantify what you're saying a little bit from the reflection, so we know where the needle is, because if you were trying to get to the 95%, and that would be a data point you would need to say, wow, we have a long way to go in a year, or, oh my gosh, we're almost there all the way, starting in September. But it's hard to assess that with words just like expand. And so I think that for planning, absolutely, some of the goals you may be like, oh, this is a no-brainer, we got it. But some you may have to really work super, super hard.
Thank you for that feedback, and we've got that captured. Thank you. And again, of course, for the coordinated use of social media tools reflecting that NCS is a K-12 campus, this is where I'd like to make my soft plug that we will be moving to a single Facebook page over the next couple of months. We found that with our K-12 initiatives, we're posting things 2 times. Some parents and teachers and staff are having to go to both sets of Facebook pages to find the full story and the full set of responses, and we find that that's been very cumbersome for some of our parents. As we migrate to that, we will have plenty of time because it is a sign-up only Facebook page. We will actually be running all 3 pages for a period of time until we can ensure that a sufficient amount of time has passed that parents have been able to migrate over to the single focus. In addition, we will make sure that because we are posting all K-12 activities on a single Facebook page, that we do a little bit better branding with our campus-driven posts to say K-5 parents or 6-8 parents, or that way that you can read that very first tagline and know if you can gloss over it if you don't think it'll pertain to your family. So that's my soft plug. The hard plug will be coming soon. For goal 3, we have that we would decrease our student violations of the student code of conduct in areas of bullying and cleanliness by 50% in each category. I'm going to take the point that you made earlier that we need to probably get those actual percentages built into the reflection as we move forward. So we'll take that same note for this one. But we've already started a cross-campus tutoring program called Cougar Buddies, and that's a program where some of our high school students are learning how to tutor and how to be a helpful mentor, and then on certain Cougar Time days, that's what some people used to call skinny, we'll be traveling over to the lower grades to help be an class central tutor for students during that time.
You all have the cutest names.
We're trying.
They always have the cutest names.
We're trying really hard. In addition, we want to maintain our strategies related to our stop-out bullying week. We've already talked about some of those in my opening remarks about the upcoming events, but to continue to provide opportunities for students to have healthy conversations about what bullying is and is not, what to do if you notice bullying, how it is important for everyone to speak out, those sorts of things.
Would that be stuff like this?
Is that put on social media, Brad?
Yes.
And what we also want to do is work with our communications team to get some press releases out, and so we get some photographs and some stories into our local newspaper to celebrate the wonderful thing that we're doing on campus. Also, there was some comment about perhaps from a cleanliness perspective and from a just sort of student accountability perspective that implementing an on-campus recycling program. Currently, the only recycling dumpster that we have is for cardboard. We don't have the ability at this point to, on campus, recycle plastic and aluminum, those sorts of things. And certainly our students and our teachers and our staff are consumers of these types of products. And so we're hopeful that over the next year we might be able to have a long-term solution that would address some of the cleanliness issues that we have on campus. We're doing a great job, but that was one specific strategy for helping to clean up our campus.
I very much like the Cougar Buddies idea. I think one of the things, as we've grown in enrollment population, while we still have above average tangible school spirit and collegiality, it may have waned a little as we transitioned and as we've grown in the new campus. So that's one of the things I see us getting back to, that family atmosphere that we've been challenged to approach and to realize again. So I applaud those who came up with that and some of the other points already, but that one stands out. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make sure that the teachers that came up with that concept are duly awarded.
I think the students will gain.
Absolutely. We're looking even at the long-term implications that could launch into coursework for students that would like to have some core education. We can then build into that some very specific teacher-led programming that would allow them to work on lesson plans, etc.
So you're saying you're building a recruiting pipeline?
Yeah, that's what we're talking
For goal 4, you'll see there that we're trying, the focus is to continue to improve the positive and collaborative culture and climate in order to reach an 80% satisfaction index on our yearly school level perception surveys. So one of the recommendations that came out of that School 17 is that all of us are ambassadors of the school. It is not just the role of you in the front office or the board members, that every person who's associated with News Charter School is an ambassador of the campus. And perhaps additional training on how to communicate effectively with maybe parents of students in classroom or other stakeholders that you might encounter at the grocery store, just similar to what you all were saying about some of the press that was out there, being able to make sure they're fully informed of all that's happening on campus. So when they get asked a question, they have all of the information outlook on what's happening on campus. And again, percentages are missing there.
Is it possible to say that NCS will either create a positive and collaborative culture or maintain? Because continue to improve, I just think maybe we can make it a little stronger. Either we have it and we're maintaining, or we don't have it and we're creating. Just, I don't know which one it is.
You have to continue to improve. I see what you're saying. That's all.
Yeah.
Did you have any further questions on that?
I wonder which one it is.
We have a good.
Are you creating or are you just maintaining? Because those are different strategies.
I would say maintaining and improving on that maintenance.
Continue to enhance.
Yeah.
But maintain makes us better.
Would increase as a standalone word will increase our positive? Is that the word? I think the idea is we're doing a decent job, but we always can do
We're
better. So it's trying to get that right vernacular that shows that we can grow in this area.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be will improve. Well,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
those are
Improve any
tiny
positive that doesn't-
semantics that people might, it depends on how you read into it.
We'll take
Well,
it back
I
to
mean,
the 15 and let them kind of match it.
I'm totally looking at it from an advanced ed point of view, because the goal statement, you're like, what are you actually trying to say? So I'm trying to,
Well, I mean, I think to be accurate there, what you're really trying to say is you will maintain a 80% or above satisfaction index on your yearly school perception surveys. The fact that you're improving a positive and collaborative culture is a contributor to that survey in and of itself, to be explicit about it. I mean, you can have a positive culture and your satisfaction survey can be less than 80%. So you missed the mark. I mean, so I think really that point needs to be moved down to the subsequent vote. Because you're going to have to do more than just that if you think it's in the front.
right.
And what I'd like for you to know is the mid-cycle reflection sort of highlights some major elements that we're emphasizing, but every one of these goals has a laundry list of action items that are being used to address the ability to achieve the goal. As far as the expanding the use of the team building activities, much to our comments earlier, we have incidentally, accidentally, by chance, gotten ourselves a little siloed over the last couple of years, and so we're working really hard to make sure we're crossing all of those boundaries, doing K-12 events, doing cross-discipline events, that sort of thing, to make sure that teachers realize there's resources outside of the neighborhoods, next to them. And more specifically, we're looking for that vertical alignment of curriculum, because we feel that those elements will help not only increase the collaborative culture on campus, but will have a positive impact on student learning as well. And then, of course, the Spirit Week, just to continue to get the students involved in all of this culture and climate improvement. As we look at Goal 5, I really see this as a highlighted element of Goal 1. Goal 1 is really about overall performance improvement. This is being really specific and targeted to a particular area. And so looking to get our students to a 90% proficient rating by the end of the 2016-17 school year is our aspirational goal here, specific to math and reading.
Does it need to be a separate goal after the strategy within your first goal?
Right, at this point, I'll have to defer to the SID team because I know some of these elements have already been submitted for review. So as we prepare for the advance, we want to make sure that we're not giving them conflicting information. So, but we'll take that note as a future ongoing. This is a subset. This is sort of goal like 1.
Well, but a
Rename it.
mid-year assessment.
Right.
It's a living document.
Right.
You can say, based on the first year of review, it's not, you realize this is really just a strategy within the first goal.
And so there,
Overall,
this lets us focus in on some very specific content areas. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the difference between proficiency and growth. Proficiency is the 3, 4s, and 5s. Growth is that individual student maximizing their potential based on wherever they started the school year, toward the end of the school year. Here, this is one of those where we're looking at expanding the use of differentiation tools and programs. What is not seen here just yet, because they're still in progress, is how our professional development processes are targeting this. In their department groups, our PLCs are looking to determine what specific differentiation tools do they need for the group of students they're serving, and then reaching out and building that set of tools. And then, of course, the use of Cougar time to provide additional instruction and remediation is needed, as identified by our school assistance team. That's not the SAT test, that's our school assistance team. As we look at Goal 6, this again aligns with our transparency and making sure that academic tools are available to all students. This is a learning management system. We want to make sure our original goal was 80%, but this year we really kicked it up and we're going to try to exceed that, blow that out of the water, and get ourselves to 100%. The reason for doing this is to make sure that students can engage with the curriculum wherever they are, because it is a mobile platform. Also to make sure that our parents have the ability to see tools and resources and have conversations with their students at home about what's happening in the classroom.
so do you know about where you are now?
Brad, do we have a rough percentage of where we are now in Canvas usage?
I can pull that up in a few minutes, but
So when you say 80% of all classrooms, are you saying 80% of your teachers are trained to use this in their curriculum, or are you saying 80% of your student population has some kind of engagement with this product?
I'll defer to the SID team for that. The teachers.
80% of your teachers.
was the original goal, but as I said, we're
That's
trying to really.
And then now we're closer to 100% being trained and using that. Now we have to implement.
So your 100% is trained or using Susan?
I think the goal is going to be that 100% of teachers are actively using the tool and making sure that their updates and their information are available there, so parents have a one-stop resource for checking on all of their students if they have more than one student, as well as for being able to see a similar format from class to class.
And so usage, do you have minimal requirements of what you are qualifying as usage for a teacher?
Not right now, but that'll come within this training we're doing throughout the year.
Because there is some cost with that, so.
Yeah, just signing on and saying we use it.
Yeah, that,
The
you
tool
know.
has already been budgeted for and is available for all teachers at no additional cost with this year's budget. So the amount that's been used to turn the tool on, that's it. There's no additional cost to it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it's still
Yes.
not cheap,
No.
you know, platform, you know, so you might want everybody fully using it.
And interestingly, what we're hearing is that if a student, particularly in the grades where there's multiple subject teachers, we don't have a single teacher, you'll see that if one teacher's really adept at it and the others are still learning the module, the parents are like, why can't you do it? So we're finding teachers, the parents are really, really excited about migrating all of our classes to that single platform.
One of the things on the, so with parent and student involvement, Christian point about like Power School is a complementary capability, that's really just grading and assignments for grading, and this is the curriculum stuff, so those things go hand in hand.
Correct. The Power School tool is still what we use for inputting all of our data. We link it to the Canvas module so that when it's a one-stop shop for the parents, they don't have to go to Power School to look at grades and go over here to look at the teacher blog and go over here to look at the online resources. They can log into Canvas and it's already linked for their student and they can see grade information, resource information, notes home. I think there's even capabilities of messaging between parent and student right there so you don't have to exit out and go into your email. So there's lots of usable features there that we've got to train ourselves on, train our parents on. The students just seem to figure it out on their own, quite honestly, but yes, making sure that those modules and those videos perhaps probably the best all of them. And then they do it in class all the time as well, their teachers. Caitlin may be able to speak to some of this as a student.
It's a very self-explanatory website. Basically, it pulls up once you log into all the classes that you are signed up for. I think Mr. Williams does that for us, so you don't have to sign up. But yeah, you just click on your class and it tells you everything that the teacher has posted for you to do for that day or that week or whatever the due date is for that. So it's fairly easy.
Do you submit through Canvas? Do you submit
Yes.
assignments?
Yes.
Is there an app that goes with it?
Yes.
The parents can check on that.
The question is there an app that goes with that so they can check it on the phone or a tablet? And the answer was yes.
So the students can do their work too.
I've never used the app, so I'm not sure it's on that. But if it's similar to the website, then
So mommy and daddy can make sure you get your assignment.
We have a nodding yes. As we move into the seventh and final goal of the current school improvement plan and the mid-cycle reflection there, the staff felt the need as a whole group to include financial stability, to acknowledge that every staff member has a role in making sure that we have financial stability as a school and then make sure that we have a balanced budget. So one thing that we wanted to do is make sure that all staff were fully trained on how to do a proper needs assessment that included projected costs, as well as similar to the conversation we had about the field trip form, what is the intended content standard that this particular need would address or would backfill for a whole? Have you looked at your data and determined that this particular area needs some additional resources for your students because your direct instruction method isn't working, you need these alternative resources, those sorts of things. The other thing is we want to work with our department chairs to make sure that they're getting a little bit more training on how to process a budget. To date, the department chairs might have been in conversations, but then it sort of gets handed over to office staff, and then office staff is left with trying to figure out how to order it or what's the best supply, and so that leaves a lot of ambiguity into quality product. They'll know better that this particular, I think of Science Applied just because it's my background, but this particular vendor has a more, if I buy my yeast or my auger from this particular company, it'll actually work and sustain for the full year, but whenever I bought it from this company, the shelf life is only a month or something. they'll know those types of things better than we will and help us make better financial decisions in our ordering processes. And then finally, coordinate with the board finance committee to receive regular updates on the status of the budget. If the teachers don't physically come to the board meeting, they're not generally getting the updates on where we are with the budget. They need to know that just as much as anybody else does. And so we need to make sure we're building in that platform. And that concludes the current elements of the mid-cycle reflection. There's a full packet that's available that has the sort of working version, and we'll get back to you as those final adjustments are made, but we thought that this would be a better way to digest where we are with the school improvement plan at this time.
Thank you very much, and for the work on giving us a summary of mid-year results. Do we have any questions on that?
I'd just like to say that the great work by the CIT team to kind of reboot the aspirational goals from last year. I know that was challenging to a lot of people there, but the board believes that the school and the staff is capable of getting there. So it's great to see those goals really high. I echo those comments, and then also like the financial aspects. I'll repeat that. I'll kudo what Rodney said, but also I like the end point, because we're all a team as far as especially the financial thing. There's nobody on this board and nobody in this school that wouldn't love to provide everything possible for every teacher's want, every family's needs and wants, but unfortunately we're our strength. So, but it does take a team effort, so I applaud that.
Thank you. The last portion was just a very brief brainstorming session on the development of a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. That one element of it would be to really outline the academic direction of the school and to discuss a lot of the ideas that have come across the committee's table over the last year or so. And so we will be utilizing our new standing committee monthly meetings to further those discussions, and we look forward to bringing something back to the board relatively soon.
Very good report, thank you. Resource development. I haven't heard anything from the committee. Facilities.
Thank you, Chairman. Pullman and I met with, lined up a meeting with Jimmy Boykin yesterday just to kind of get an overview of, since he knows where every screw has been screwed and nail has been nailed and concrete has been poured in this building as well as everything that's underground. And to kind of get a good perspective, it was a very productive meeting. We met for about an hour and a half yesterday. And some things were discussed, information shared that I'll say only Jimmy had, but Jimmy was able to provide to staff so that we can look at contracts and the things that they are not doing that we just need to follow up on. And then also one of the things that we need to discuss, and Rodney kind of alluded to this earlier about the $25,000. We can have the finest facilities, but obviously when we're still, we don't have a lot of facilities as far as to be able to use. And when we have wrestling in here, cheerleading in here, there's a lot of space that's being used for things other than what it was intended for. So we just need to make sure that we just don't wear those things out. We'll be prepared to replace things as they get worn out. And so we just need, as we move forward, to be thinking about a budgetary line item, and staff and I will be discussing that. Things such as, we're looking at some of the things that as it relates to science needs in the science lab, ventilation system, so that they can appropriately. We've got to think about, as we ask staff and as we raise the expectations, there's a cost to that. And just like AP Science, as I understand, requires so much more than just your traditional working with chemicals and doing stuff, that you have to have certain ventilations and certain other types of equipment within the school to be able to do these things. And so we just need to be aware that as we ask things
as the bar to be risen, that there is a financial cost with facilities with that. So, we're looking at that. We're getting several quotes and looking at ways that we can implement what's needed to make us the best school. And then also, just as an FYI, facilities, as a part of the facilities group with USDA, we'll be meeting with them in the next couple of weeks to discuss some of the rumors that were mentioned at the end of the last fiscal year that are.
Very good, thank you. Any old business? New business for open session?
I would like for the school, the board, to host the county commissioners at their November luncheon. That date is the first Monday of November. They have a 10 o'clock. They have a 10 o'clock board member meeting, and then that typically the last hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they go somewhere for lunch. Libraries host them, various organizations host them. I'd like for us to host them on the 7th of November if possible. I'll assist in making arrangements with that. I'd like to have it in the school.
I think it's very good.
Here, yeah, right here with the kids, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate.
Some of them will be voting the next day.
That's right. We'll make sure that I campaign.
We're going to hold a mock election first for kids this year on election day.
Oh, that'd be good.
With SGA.
For those that are viewing online, SGA will be hosting a mock election this year during the time of the November election, so that the students can participate in that process and feel what it feels like to them.
So what time is that on the 7th?
Well, I think we just need to plan for 12 o'clock. But
Maybe starts at 9 or?
their meeting starts at 10. However, depending on what's on their agenda, they could show up at 1:45, they could show up at 1/4 after, or 12:30.
Or 1:30.
It will be that. I'll know before then. I mean, you know.
Not before the election, they won't do a whole lot.
So, but I'm just saying, let's plan on a 12 o'clock luncheon. And,
Good point, good publicity. Any other new business?
Did you need any approval for the survey of potential Board of Education candidates?
Well,
I was going to discuss that in closed session, but what I'd like to do maybe is discuss it in closed session, but then also if we've got an active student government association, I think that may be the vehicle to carry that. We were talking about offline, thank you, about polling or questioning candidates that are running for office and their positions on education and how it relates to support of charter schools. Because we have a lot of candidates that are that have taken positions that would be favorable in our case. We just want to make sure that they go on the record.
So do we want to discuss that now, or have we just discussed it, or?
well, I'll be more than happy to
Talk
talk.
about it now, if necessary.
I think it's okay for open session.
Okay, that's fine. The intent is not to get into the political weeds, and the intent is also not to endorse candidates, but just get them on the record on certain positions as it relates to funding. For charter schools. We've had a lot of candidates that have taken positions of conservatism, that the national platform talks about school choice, charter schools, vouchers, and things of that nature. And as we look toward the future and with our facility needs, there's been some discussion about the possibility of receiving county funds for facilities, as well as trying to position ourselves on future bonds. And so with those people breaking their neck to be the next Ronald Reagan, I'd like for them to go on record so that when they do get elected, that we remind them of that.
have, what, 500 families here with easily with at least two voters per family on average. So the point is that we've got 900 to 1,000 votes right here at News Charter School. And as we vote on county commissioners and school board members and things of that nature at the county level, they do have an effect on us. And so we need to make sure that we collectively inform our families on where these candidates stand on certain positions that may affect positively or negatively News Charter School. So that's kind of what my goal is.
And we may just want to remember that there'll be another charter school by next fall. So things that if they use the generic term charter school, then in the future that may not be just us.
Well, we can structure it where I don't care if they get, listen, if we get another $1 here, the other school can get another $1.
Yeah.
I don't care. And the point is that we need to make sure that we fight for the funds that we think we're due and the product that we're providing to Johnson County families. And so, like I said, there's been a lot of political noise out there that's been in the newspaper. And again, my intent is not necessarily to endorse any candidate, because I think that's a slippery slope.
Just to get their position.
But just to get their position. And so I think if we can stay in the middle lane, we'll be okay. So, but I'm open to suggestions on how to do that. And I think if we could get I'd love to have the student government host a forum here, but that's maybe another time.
Let me note that as a nonprofit, we in no way are trying to support or lobby any political entity. I just want to say this for the record, that we're not doing that. This is purely an information sharing and information gathering. We're not advocating for any one position.
How are we best? How are we?
Oh, well.
That's kind of got it all started, but anyway, that's a conversation for another time.
For the purpose of this discussion, excuse me, do you think it's most apropos that we submit something in writing? Do we reach out? What is the method that you're considering? Or is it appropriate for us as a charter school?
I don't know. First of all, I'd like to check with the Office of Charter Schools to make sure that what we would like to do is permissible. But again, I think I would like to, in just myself, I would like to know where some of these candidates stand that have a financial impact on our future. And so that's kind of.
Are we considering this for just school board or school board and local elected officials? When I say local, county commissioners, up to House and Senate.
I would think anything, yeah. If we receive $1 from the county or from the school board,
I mean, those are the ones that are making the decision.
they're the ones making the decision.
School board up to the state and House rep, the Senate and House rep.
Right.
And I would say, that's my opinion on this, is if this is allowable based on our status, then I would say it'd be all affected elected officials that we send a blanket uniform questionnaire or question to them and give them the option to respond.
Yeah, and I don't want to put our staff on the spot, because but I mean, I think this would be a great opportunity for our student government to do, if they feel comfortable doing that.
We have a meeting Friday night, so talk to Mr. Keenan, Mr. Casey, and the executive board.
I'll be more than happy to sit in on that meeting if necessary as a board member, and then report back to the board via email or whatever's appropriate. That's public
Gauge
record.
their interest on when they want to do it.
For the record, the comment from the floor was just that the Student Government Association will be meeting on Friday and they can talk about this as a group.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about part of our responsibility as a board is to educate our stakeholders on the status of charter school funding implications and whatever. So I see this as, we're not, like Paul said, we're not supporting one candidate or denying another, we're just simply trying to educate our stakeholders so that they make educated decisions on their behalf. So I support it.
And the key there is we're not proposing an endorsement, it's only for information gathering.
Well, if we can, I agree, and if we can educate a candidate, because there's a lot of misinformation out there by all candidates, just because one's an elected official doesn't mean they're somehow been deemed, knower of all. I think sometimes we need to make sure that everyone is aware, especially at the state level, that, we're operating at a third less than traditional public schools, so.
Very good. So we'll wait and get a,
Unless Caitlin has anything to say.
The SGA executive,
if you agree with him every meeting, you're going to have a long.
most of us worked together last year. I think 4 of us on the executive committee were all together last year. We have a new historian, but judging from last year's experiences, I'm positive that everyone will be open to doing it.
Very good to hear. Thank you, Kate. Any other new business? We'll leave that.
Just for the record, if the school chooses to do this, we wouldn't need board permission.
No,
It just, it's,
I think we can go ahead and say, take a motion if we want to pursue this or give Chris and the executive committee the leeway to move forward with the questionnaire if it's something of interest.
right,
And allow.
right.
Any other?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we just move forward electronically. Any other new business? Having heard none, I entertain a motion to enter closed session. We have a motion.
Does the board need to take official action on the county commissioners luncheon, or are we okay to proceed with this next one?
Okay to proceed. Have a motion to enter into closed session. Is there a second? Second. The board will adjourn into closed session. Personnel. Okay. We're back. All right, we're back into, we've dismissed from closed session back into open session. At this time, we'll open the meeting back for open session. Are there any actions or motions?
Make a motion that we approve the 3 contract positions for office manager, media specialist, and bookkeeper.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the director's recommendations for personnel actions and to fill positions of office manager, media specialist, and forgive me, what was the third one? And bookkeeper, excuse me. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Was that separate from the other? Oh,
It's
okay.
to accept all.
Okay, I forgot.
Per the motion.
Okay.
Per the motion. Per the
Yes,
motion.
correct.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second. Meeting is adjourned.